Well, Matt, 20 years on, Leicester City in another League Cup semi-final, and it had to be, didn't it? It's Aston Villa again. What kind of memories does that bring back for you?
Yeah, many cherished memories. They're still there, lurking in the back of my mind somewhere. It does seem a long time ago, I have to say, but wonderful memories, yeah, of the semi-final, and was afterwards going to be the final. But just around that whole era, you know, that whole time was special for me and us as a group of players under Martin O'Neill. It was a wonderful period in our careers, but yeah, that game, amongst a few others, really sticks out.
It was quite a tough tie, wasn't it, over the two legs. You worked hard in both legs, but you got the only goal of the tie,
yeah.
And you're going to watch it through now for us and
Okay.
talk us through it.
If I can work this technical stuff going on. Yeah, well, I always remembered Sav putting the cross in, but it's just sometimes I need a little bit of reminding on the build-up. Heskey holding it up well. Here comes in the ball from Sav, and sadly no longer with us. Hugo Ekiog there was the defender that I managed to move away from. But yeah, I took great joy in that header, just directing it back to where it comes from, as you're meant to do technically. And David James clutching thin air was quite a nice sight actually, and momentum of my movement sort of continued the celebration really, and just sort of carried on that. It wasn't something that I pre-planned, but just a few people say, "Oh, I like your celebration." It just happened off the cuff, but yeah, it was like the movement. I went offside and came back onside, and that slightly deceived Ekiog. And lovely ball in from Sab, more hopeful than anything really. Just put it into an area. It's got good contact on it, and that was that.
With goals like that, obviously you had to do a lot with the header itself, but when a ball in is as good as it was from Robbie Savage there, it must make your job a heck of a lot easier.
No, I just said to you, he put it in an area, and my movement made it a good cross. But you know, I'll give credit where it's due to Sab. It was a decent ball in a decent zone. It was up to me to do the rest. I was up there anyway because I was employed as a centre forward that night, certainly in the first half anyway, before Martin dragged me back into defence. But yeah, no, I mean Muzzy did well to nick the ball back to Sab after receiving it, and you know, the referee could have been forgiven for blowing for a foul there. The Muzzy went up in the air. Thankfully he didn't. Otherwise things might have been a lot different. But yeah, Sab was an underrated player. To be fair, not just in that instance. He was hard working, chased all over the pitch. Had a bit of quality as well.
You said your celebration wasn't planned. The Martin O'Neill jump in the air became quite well known, didn't it, at that time? Do you think as a group you knew when that goal went in that you were going to hold on? So that was a massive, massive goal at that moment of the time.
We knew it was a huge goal, yeah, because in terms of its bearing on the tie, because as you mentioned before, the away leg, first leg was really tight, few chances, not very entertaining. It was quite dour and dogged in truth, and we knew there wasn't going to be too much between us in the second leg, so to get that advantage was huge. And we also, once we got that, we felt as if it was meant to be ours, although we still had a lot of work to do, and there were some close shaves in the second half, and then none more so. I remember, as I said, Martin put me back in defence for the second half. That was a sign of, you know, how tight the game was. Right, we've got the lead, let's hold on to it basically, and then perhaps pinch something. But I made a complete air shot. I miskicked a clearance, and had my head in my hands and my heart in my mouth really, and Steve Stone went through and Tim Flowers produced a brilliant save. And once that was made, I thought, right, that's their one and only proper chance. And Tim did the stuff, did what he's there for, produced the goods, and after that moment, there was no going back really.
The celebrations after in the dressing room, we've all seen the pictures. You guys obviously loved the celebration. What was that moment like after the game when you knew you were going to Wembley again?
Yeah, it was partly relief because it had been such a tight encounter, and you know you're hopeful, aren't you, and dying to get to a Wembley final, and the pressure on it had been released, and then the realisation that we'd actually achieved it, and then the fun started to kick in, you know, the excitement and the pride really from, you know, an achievement. But it's still in the back of your mind. You knew the real hard work was yet to be done, because as we found out the year before, we had a good celebration after playing against Sunderland in the semi-final, went on against Tottenham and just didn't perform. And so we were hugely frustrated but also motivated by that. So although it was, you know, it was a good night to beat Villa in a semi-final, and all the furore about it, and all the plaudits that we got, and it was a great night. You go around the pitch and celebrate with the fans. Everyone knows what's coming, but we've got to go and finish it off. So we didn't get too carried away, although, as you say, we celebrated, in relative terms as best we could without getting too far ahead of ourselves.